All right, guys, we got to break this story all the way down. It looks as though Browns owner Jimmy Haslem is stepping in and firing players who are obviously sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, and this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. Jerry Jeudy, your ass is on the list. You might be grass next. Jimmy Haslem stepping in and firing players, y'all. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. So we have to get into this. Jimmy Haslem making changes around this organization. Anybody who might be a part of this sabotage is probably going to get the door. Kevin Stefanski will be fired at the end of this season. Andrew Berry to be determined, but they're getting players out of the way. And I got to stick around, man. I got to get to Ken Carman. Mary Kay and Ken Carman was going at it. Man, we got to get to some things. Look at this. Browns cut rookie lineman in baffling move that has fans livid. Here it says, an alarming trend during the spiraling Cleveland Browns season has been the state of the offensive line, as in who does the team even have left to take reps during games. The Browns starting five for young quarterback Shedeur Sanders this past Sunday in Chicago was about as close to a worst-case scenario as it gets in the NFL. It was piss poor, the protection Shedeur Sanders had in front of him. Here it says, Cleveland opened the game with journeyman Cam Robinson, and I showed y'all him sabotaging, blocking air, doing nothing. They started the game with journeyman Cam Robinson at left tackle, Joe Bitonio at left guard, Luke Whippler at center, Tevin Jenkins at right guard, and KT Leviston at right tackle. Rookie Garrett Dillinger entered the game as the backup center and wound up spelling Jenkins after he left the game with a shoulder issue. Every one of those linemen outside of Bitonio either joined the team late or opened the season in a reserve role. Okay? Here it says they entered this year's season opener with 24-year-old DeJuan Jones switching sides to left tackle. The rest of the line was made up of aging veterans. Okay, yeah, a bunch of bums. Here it says, but with the patchwork offensive line comes consequences. Team leadership is currently evaluating Sanders as a potential long-term option, but he's facing pressure on an inordinate amount of his dropbacks over his 4 starts. Here it says Sanders can help his own cause by getting the ball out faster, but the O-line problems extend to the running game too. Rookie Quinshon Judkins was once on pace for a 1,000-yard season. He isn't anymore after gaining just 47 total yards on 26 carries over Cleveland's last 2 games. The underlying issue here is painfully obvious, which is why Cleveland's roster move has fans utterly confused. So here it says Browns, they decide to release Garrett Dillinger. So they're getting any of these guys that was stinking, that may have possibly been in on the sabotage. Jimmy Haslem is stepping in and he's trying to make moves. And what did he do? He's trying to bring in guys with a clean slate that's not a part of the sabotage. Browns signed veteran lineman to the practice squad. Cleveland Browns officially signed guard Wesley French to the practice squad on Wednesday. French is officially in his 4th NFL season out of Western Michigan. He was originally signed by the Indianapolis Colts as an undrafted free agent in 2022. He's appeared in 17 career games. He spent this time this season on the Dallas Cowboys practice squad. The Browns will host the Buffalo Bills Sunday. So Jimmy Haslem is trying to clean house and get any potential sabotagers out of here. That is what is going on. Now, we also have to get to this. Mary Kay Cabot was on the Ken Carman show today, and Ken was not feeling it. You can already see. He's like, man, are you serious? And she's talking about how Shedeur Sanders might not be the guy, but Kevin Stefanski should get a real opportunity with the real quarterback, and Kevin Stefanski shouldn't be fired. This is the joke of all jokes. Let's get to it.
Out in the draft. So it's up to Shedeur to go out there and prove week by week that he can get the job done. But once they get to the end, they still have more work to do.
How do they scout him? Because my question is, how can he look like he's the guy when he's playing with jobbers?
Well, you have to evaluate for traits. You have to really look at the things that he can do sort of almost in an isolated situation. Is he putting the ball where it needs to go? So when you look at the play to Jerry Jeudy that was snatched out of Jerry Judy's hands, that one goes on the plus side of the ledger for Shedeur. He would grade out well on that play because he did his job. He put the ball where it needed to go, and it should have been a touchdown pass. So that's how you evaluate that one. When you look at the Titans game, you evaluate that game for the plays that he was able to make, and if somebody dropped the ball, or if the ball got picked off, then that still wouldn't necessarily go on the negative side of his ledger. It can go on the positive side. So they're going to have to almost evaluate him in some cases in a bit of a vacuum because he probably isn't going to have the perfect protection that maybe he'll have later on in his career. He might not have the receiving core he would have later on. So some of it is a projection. And, I think that they're getting good data. But now he's got to still go out there in these past 3 games and show that he can do all of the things that you need to do, including leading the football team. And I think he's really done a good job of showing that.
Well, how do you evaluate him down the stretch? Because this does seem like a really tough spot to get a fair evaluation given the line, given the wide receiver room, given just all the moving parts. And you feel bad for him in that regard. And he has been out there making some plays, but overall, statistically, it's been pretty bad.
Well, you just can't evaluate for results and try to project how that will look ahead in the game, and you have to go more.
To me, their operations have gotten muddier, messier, worse since Tommy took over play calling and he went. He's been upstairs. That's just to my naked eye. It seems like there's been more issues getting stuff in, players running on or off the field offensively, delay of games. I think that's all gotten worse. Does that match what you've been seeing?
Well, the operation does need to be cleaned up, and that's going to be a key over these last 3 weeks. They do have to be operationally sound and clean, and I think part of it is, a large part of it is the fact that they've had such a revolving door on the offensive line. They had their 9th starting offensive line combo against the Bears. And then, of course, they lost Tevin Jenkins to that in that game. And then they were down to their 3rd option at guard there. So I think that hasn't helped.
Cabot joining us here on the show. If they were to make a move at head coach, would Tommy Rees be seriously considered for the position?
Well, I've wondered about that myself because Tommy is so well thought of in people are very, very interested in Tommy, and I know the Browns want to make every effort to keep him around. Having said that, I don't know if they believe he's ready to be a head coach yet. So we'll have to see how all of that shakes out. I really don't know where they're going with that yet, but I do think that they will make every effort to try to keep him around.
All right, between Kevin and Andrew Berry, what's the most likely possibility? Kevin goes.
All right, now listen to this, y'all. Listen to this nonsense.
Andrew stays. Barry goes. Kevin stays. Both go. Both stay.
Well, first of all, I'm on record as saying that I do think that Kevin deserves a chance to coach this football team when he has a quarterback that he can win consistently with. And I don't know that he's really had that yet here for any length of time.
Y'all see the excuses this lady makes for Kevin Stefanski over and over and over and over again?
So I do think that if he went somewhere else and had a quarterback that he can work with and win with, then I think he's going to be successful. And I think he would be that here too. So if I were making the decision, I would try to give him the quarterback.
He had to cover his face. Kid Carter. He can't believe this shit. Hey, yo. Nah, Ken, you been wildin'. Ken, you been on one. Damn. Yo, Mary Kay, you bugged out.
Back and see what he can do with it. So I just want to make sure that I'm on record as stating that that's how I feel about that. And then as far as Andrew is concerned, I certainly don't see how you, pack up your NFL defensive rookie of the year, get him ready to head out to the awards ceremony. And, and then you've got all these other really great rookies that you have just drafted in one of the best rookie classes that I've ever seen here, and say, oh no, you're done. Sorry, Andrew.
So she believes Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski should stay.
We nailed this draft, and I think 6. So I just don't see that Andrew is going anywhere based on what we've seen from this draft class so far. I think it's the foundation, and I know how you guys feel about this. I think this year is the foundation, and I will say it again, of Super Bowl window 2. And I think that next year will be the second layer of that. And I think that Andrew will be the one making those decisions.
I would disagree with you a little bit.
I disagree with her a whole lot. Kevin Stefanski's ass needs to be gone. Point blank, period. Get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.